Welcome back to the Driveway Beers podcast with Mike and Alex. As always, we appreciate you listening. Please rate us on all the podcast platforms. Like, subscribe, comment, share wherever else you're listening, and enjoy the show. All right, welcome back to another episode. We appreciate you coming back. As always, we want to thank Adam Chubbuck with Douglas Realty for sponsoring this episode. Go to tacmd.com. That's TACMD.com. Shoot Adam a message if you are looking to buy or sell some real estate in this market. It's only going to get more volatile with the interest rates going down. I believe the Fed's scheduled to cut rates another time before the end of the year. So this might be a great time to talk to Adam and get ready for when the interest rates drop again. If they do, they're already in the high fives, mid fives if you're able to qualify for that kind of a mortgage. So they're not much higher than the 4% of maybe 5-6 years ago. So give Adam a call, techmd.com. Set up your appointment to talk with him. He also has some other great contacts in the industry, especially in the mortgage lending industry. I know he works with a really great guy over there. So even if you've had trouble getting financed in the past, he might have someone that can get you financed. But either way, especially if you're looking at the next 3, 4, 5 months, 6 months, shoot him a call now. Like, get prepared. Like, when you're going to look to buy something or even sell something, if you're going to sell, there might be some things you want to do to your house to make it more appealing. If you're looking to buy, it might be good to talk with him just to kind of lay out what you're looking for, and he can kind of show you what's been sold before, so you can get an idea of what you're going to be looking to pay. So go to tacmd.com. And we want to thank Adam for sponsoring this show. Just me and Mike again. Mike sent me a text about aliens, and I'm on board for that.
Oh, yeah.
So what were you reading exactly that kind of put you in that alien frame of mind?
Well, no. So I started looking at. Well, I watched this show. I forget what Graham Hancock did it. It was on Netflix, and I should just look it up. But
it's not Ancient Aliens, is it?
No.
That's the History Channel.
That's what ruined the History Channel for me. It was all like
Ancient Aliens?
Yes. Because it stopped being history. It's all Pawn Stars and Ancient Aliens. Whoever owns History Channel is just running it straight into the ground. But that could be a whole different episode.
Whenever you mention a guy named Graham, I was thinking, like, the only Graham I can think of is Graham Norton, which is that, like, British late night host guy.
Yeah.
He's got that weird show when people just sit on the couch.
So Graham Hancock is the show's called Ancient Apocalypse. So Graham Hancock has a theory that there was a cataclysmic event that happened on Earth called the Younger Dryas, and it's a meteor shower that completely destroyed pretty much everything on Earth. It led to actual climate change, but to the point where there was floods everywhere. There was meteors coming in from outer space, destroying everything. So, and this meteor shower, we passed through it annually, but it was just this one particular year, Earth really got hit hard. So Graham Hancock has this theory that there was a civilization on Earth, a great civilization that predates the Egyptians, Mesopotamia, all that, going back before that. And if you look at just about every major religion in the world they reference a flood. They reference fire and brimstone. So this cataclysmic type event. In the Bible, there's Noah. In other religions, they reference this flood. So these are religions and from cultures that are spread throughout the world that would have had no way of communicating with one another based on the current timeline that's accepted by mainstream archaeologists, mainstream historians, that sort of thing. So he gets into the things about how do the pyramids get built using simple machines and human power to pick these giant bricks up with such precision. Because if you see how they're lined up, the pyramids are lined up in a specific way. They're all like the precision of how they're sized, how they're oriented. Not that it would be impossible to do, but on that grand of a scale, using one theory I remember from middle school, like they put them on sleds and dragged them through the sand with like camels or people. It's like completely ridiculous. But that's what mainstream archaeology is saying.
I thought they had them on the rollers.
Yeah, or rollers, like log rollers, not even wheels, not even the wheel and axle.
No, log rollers.
Yeah.
And they would just take the one from the back and move it to the front. And
Yeah.
Yeah, they just keep going that way.
Yeah. And they moved them from 1,000 miles away. That's where the rock was quarried from.
I mean, it takes some time.
Yeah, forever.
You got elephants, though. They're strong.
In the desert?
Maybe.
I mean, Hannibal brought elephants to,
Camels.
Yeah. So, very interesting theory, and I think to me there's some there's something to it, at least worth investigating. The problem is mainstream archaeology won't look at this at all because it kind of, if you think about it, if you've been an archaeologist for your entire life, your entire body of work is based upon this certain timeline. This just throws all of your life's work, your legacy, straight into the shitter. So these guys are constantly saying he's a pseudoscientist, he's a trash archaeologist, just to put him down so no one listens to him. So I watched the show. It was interesting. There are some really interesting structures in, I believe, Turkey that they built, like essentially entire cities underground. Why would you build a city underground? Unless you were hiding from something coming from the sky, possibly. So, and then the dating dates it back thousands of years prior to the Egyptians. So his theory is that this civilization existed, that it was destroyed in this cataclysmic event, and that the society that we're living in today, if you were to trace its origins all the way back to, say, Mesopotamia, was when all the survivors started to in the little clans, started to reform society as it, so it's essentially like society 2.0.
So this would predate the Bible.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. The Bible, so people say, the King James Bible, or Jesus was born 2000, he's going to have his 2024th birthday coming up. Mm-hmm. But the collection of stories in the Bible, how old is that? Because someone wrote them down at some point. But prior to that, these were just stories that were told orally through, around campfires. And that's how they were, because people couldn't read. There was no way to print them.
Well, hold on. Are you sure this would be the 2024th birthday of Jesus?
Yeah.
Because we start 0 is after death.
Are you sure? Or is it... No.
BC is before Christ.
Yeah.
I thought AD was after death.
No. Well...
Or is it ACE?
I think the Google machine could tell us.
That could.
I was figuring before Christ meant before, and whether it's before the resurrection, I'm not sure.
No,
Jesus was about
the resurrection was it was after 0, I think.
Yeah, because
right?
Jesus was about 33 years old when he was crucified. So
I'm probably not Googling this right. I'm like, what is 0 in years? There is no year 0 in the Anno Domini, which is AD calendar system, which is used in the Gregorian calendar because the Roman system of counting did not include 0. In the AD system, the year 1 BC is followed directly by the year 1 AD. So there's no year 0. It doesn't say what BC or AD stand for, so let me Google machine that. What does BC and AD, not SD, AD stand for? Let's see. BC stands for before Christ. AD stands for Anno Domini, which is Latin for in the year of the Lord. So I'm going to assume that year 1 was the year after Christ's birth.
Yeah, or the year of Christ's birth.
Right. Okay, so this would be the 2024th birthday of Christ.
Yeah.
Because it was after Christ was born.
Right.
Okay. So you were correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought so. I'm glad because I didn't know that for sure.
Honestly, hey, factual information.
Yeah.
According to Google.
Every now and then we provide some factual information. Not often.
As much as Google can provide us, right? I mean, for all we know, Google could be wrong.
Yeah.
But it's probably not. Not in this instance.
Right. So, but then there was talk. There's another theory that there were aliens involved in all of this.
Now you're speaking my language.
Right?
Yep.
So if you look, all these different... So there certainly is evidence of the world being more connected than we thought possible. Right?
Is there?
Yeah.
See, I don't know enough about this.
So
I believe enough in aliens. Mm-hmm. I always thought the aliens were more involved with like the the Aztecs. That's what I thought they were more involved with.
Right. So here's some interesting things, though.
Mm-hmm.
So nicotine, if you go back to our history classes, I said, "Oh, nicotine was discovered in the New World." Tobacco.
Yeah, but who said that?
All of our middle school freaking history teachers.
This was the only continent that had tobacco?
Yeah.
And therefore nicotine?
Yeah. But nicotine...
Is tobacco the only substance that contains nicotine?
So your body actually has nicotinic receptors in it, thanks to the Human Labs podcast. So, and tomatoes actually have trace amounts of nicotine in them.
Yeah,
I think nicotine is an alkaline.
Trace that account.
Like, you can't smoke a tomato. Like, if it's on a Marlboro or a tomato.
You know someone's tried.
I'm sure.
They've tried to smoke everything.
Yeah, right.
So, I mean, you know.
I mean, my hockey buddies in high school tried to bump lines of creatine because they heard that it would get them high. All they did was sneeze. So
it still gets in the bloodstream, doesn't it?
But it's just creatine. Like, I don't know what the purpose of that is.
I mean, I guess if it goes through the lungs, does it go in the bloodstream faster?
So you get swole faster?
Yeah. You get that creatine fix.
These guys were not into getting swole.
No. They thought it was cocaine.
Yeah, these dudes were into drugs.
Let's do drugs. Hey, I found the legal stuff at GNC.
It's crazy though, like hockey players and I was a straight arrow kid. Like I was mainly out of fear. But like the hockey players and lacrosse players, like those dudes are some potheads.
Dude, I could tell you stories of when I played, and everyone knows I played in college. What some of my teammates played on, baffled my mind. And the funny part was, I didn't know they were on it when they were doing it. Like when they were playing, like I didn't know. Like apparently, like a couple of them bumped some lines of coke. And then, like, for a home game, and then came out. I was like, damn, you did look a little faster that day. just had all the energy that day. I did not even know, though. So, no, there are some athletes, I'm convinced humans, maybe athletes that are, a little less risk averse will put almost anything up their nose one time.
Oh, yeah.
Just to see what it does. Like pretzel shavings, let's do it. Let me get that creatine. Wood on my nose.
But yeah, so they use nicotine in the embalming of the mummies.
Okay.
So where did nicotine come from? If it's only from Central America.
But is it... I don't know, man. You're telling me all of Europe, Africa, none of them had any nicotine tobacco?
That's what the establishment's telling us.
I mean, I guess it's partially true, though, because, I mean, that was a big export from the New World.
Yeah.
So if they
smoking
had
peace pipe and all this stuff, yeah.
All right.
So, because prior to colonization, there was no tobacco industry in
it was opium.
London.
Which mostly came from China.
Yeah.
Right?
But, no, that was later.
No. Opium was around way before
but
tobacco.
Not in Europe. Maybe a little bit.
But we don't know that. Because Asia and Europe were connected.
Yeah.
Who knows what kind of trade lines there were.
But a really long land.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to travel by water.
I mean, Western China's got a bunch of mountains.
Yeah.
That's tough to get over.
Yeah. So
we are so not qualified for that conversation.
not at all.
No.
We're generally not qualified for anything conversations.
I mean,
like
look, we do have a PhD in our name.
True.
But it wasn't in this topic. we're more knowledgeable somewhere in our PhD, whatever that's
in other things.
Yeah, a PhD of things.
Of stuff.
PhD in stuff. What do you get a PhD in? Stuff.
Yeah, stuff. So the nicotine was in them. Now, they would say that, the Egyptians sailed to visit the Mayans or the Aztecs, or I forget the timeline of the Inca and Aztec and Mayan.
Did they even have the ships that go across the Atlantic?
Vessels made out of reeds. Come on, man.
This is getting a little less.
This is the Atlantic Ocean here. I
was in Atlantic. Okay, for my honeymoon in October, back in 2008, I went on a cruise ship from Baltimore to the Bahamas. Mm-hmm. Or sorry, Baltimore to Bermuda. Mm-hmm. So across the Atlantic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I almost threw the fuck up.
And not even all the way across the Atlantic.
No. I went a little way.
600 miles into the 3,000-4,000 mile journey.
Yeah. I maybe, I mean, don't get me wrong. I already know I wouldn't make it back then.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have been the first dude to be like, I'm out. Yo, you need a sacrifice? Yo, hit me up with a steak and some deer or whatever for my last meal. I'll jump on that sword.
Yeah.
I'm not going across that ocean.
We're going to run out of food in a week. You can eat me.
Right. I don't want the suffering.
Right.
Hey, will you kill me quick, please?
Yeah.
You know, you give me right through the heart, two, give me, or two in the back of the head, whatever we need to do here.
Right.
To make it quick and easy and painless, I'm down for. And then I'll let all of you suffer.
Yeah. So then there are other things there's artwork that are shared between these different cultures throughout the world that supposedly had no way of transiting these huge distances.
Okay.
Styles of artwork, renditions, pictures of things, which is kind of where the aliens come in. Mm. So, and this can lead us into the next rant.
Yep. So
when I sent you the text message, because we spend a lot of time planning these episodes for those of you listening. So they generally start with a text a couple hours prior to meeting up to record the episode. What do you want to talk about? And my general response is no clue. So then I thought, this great topic. So I typed a message to Alex saying, and I'll read it so we have the evidence. So we can enter this item into evidence here.
This will be the only truthful thing said on this whole show.
Yeah.
The actual text.
Right. So I said, I've been watching a lot of shit about ancient civilization, Graham Hancock stuff. We can mix some aliens in with it. Right?
Yep.
So then I checked Facebook later, and my news feed was full of alien stuff. Right? One of the posts being about this image of a winged person that was found in Japan, Utah, and somewhere in Europe, like Eurasian area. Completely all over the place. Different in a way, but all very, very similar. If you looked at the three renderings,
right.
They were all three carved into stone, which is why they survived. So all three of these are carved into stone, and then different, but you can tell they're of the same thing. It looked like a winged person.
Okay.
Right? So it was a human figure with wings coming out the back with like lines. And then the debate was, are these angels or aliens? Right? Both being with A. So, I'm not going to go and...
Maybe the Disney character Maleficent was real.
Could be.
Good movie, by the way.
Great. So, then it gets into this whole aliens and were there aliens then? Were the pyramids built as a way to, as navigation aids for spacecraft? Because they're lined up celestially, right?
Yes.
So you don't need to navigate through the desert with pyramids, but they're huge landmarks visible from high altitudes.
I mean, and apparently there were more that were destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if... I don't know. I feel like there's... And look, this is just a skeptic in me. It's probably why I believe in aliens to begin with. there's no way we know everything. Mm-hmm. They're just not. We haven't dug everywhere. Yeah, and you're right. They're, and I hate to use the word big. What was the word? The digging people, archaeology, big archaeology, right?
Right.
So there's large corporations with money at stake to keep the status quo. Mm-hmm. Because if it's not the status quo, then all of the stuff that they have garnered is worthless.
Right. Like why the fuck do we need Citibank?
Well, no, but
or any of these stupid companies that are built on, like, if the whole thing's a farce.
Or like the foundations that own the pyramids.
Yeah.
Right? Imagine if the pyramids weren't as exotic and amazing as they are because there was another piece of information found about how they were built.
Yeah.
And now the people that own them can't make all the money on tourism and other stuff. And
yeah, but imagine these things were built by aliens.
Right. But then you got the other aspect of, okay, we've got all these artifacts and that are worth a lot of money. Whichever foundation owns those things, maybe they don't become as valuable because they're not as old or they're not the oldest thing, right? So another civilization is found, older artifacts are found, curated, purchased, whatever. They now become more valuable than the current stuff that's out there, or the papers and people that got doctorates and PhDs off of research. Well, what if their research ends up being wrong because of the new findings?
Yeah.
And those people have lucrative careers and businesses and all this other stuff. I mean, it's not as big as like big pharma, but it's a business.
Yeah. And it's something that people would protect because they consider their reputation at stake. But here's the thing. I look at it like, so say there was a civilization that existed 100,000 years prior to what we think are the oldest civilizations. All it does is just say, okay, it just moves the timeline back. The shit that they've discovered is no less cool.
For you and me.
Yeah.
Correct.
Because I'm like, oh, cool.
But for people with money and that have money invested in this stuff, if it hurts their bottom line, I mean, shoot, nobody wants their Apple stock to go down $5. Imagine what they're going to do if a piece of granite went down by $6,000.
Oh, yeah.
They'd shit a cow. But I'm also highly speculating that this is what would happen, right?
Yeah.
But I definitely think for people that have found this stuff, have been written, or that have been published and all this other stuff, and they basically made their name off of this, there is something at stake for those people to keep the status quo.
Right.
I mean, it is what it is, right?
Yeah. And in academia, I guess your whole reputation is based upon your research and the fact that it withstood questioning. And
do you remember the movie Little Miss Sunshine?
Yeah.
Okay. And Steve Carell's character, he always said he was the second most famous Proust scholar.
Yeah. And
the other guy who he was dating dumped him and went out with a younger kid, and he was the number one Proust scholar. Mm-hmm. And he always felt like, he like the second most famous, second most prominent Proust scholar. He was like trying to kill himself.
Yeah.
People have an investment in this stuff,
right?
Yeah, they have an investment in their name and their cachet that goes on in these circles, and sometimes those professional circles are their personal circles.
Oh yeah,
and they don't want that. They like the attention. They like that luster on their name.
Yeah, you're the guy that discovered whatever, the oldest, back scratcher known to the world. So
you can't find an older one because then you won't be the oldest.
But then there's a new society, ancient society that's found. There's back scratchers everywhere.
I mean, I definitely think that, especially South America. I mean, yes, they found what was that civilization that got killed? Begins with a P. It got buried by a volcano. Why can't I think? It'll come to me later, probably.
Yeah. Pompeii?
Pompeii, thank you.
That's in Italy.
Is it?
Yeah.
Again, not a factual podcast. Not factual whatsoever. I can't remember the one in South America, though.
So you had the Mayans, the Incas, and the Aztecs were all those pre-Columbian great civilizations that were there. They were doing some wild stuff. One of them had figured out how to do brain surgery.
Yeah. I feel like I don't know. Maybe I just don't feel like that part of the world has been really dug into.
Well, the whole Amazon rainforests have been like this stuff is. It's like they're finding like tribal people that they didn't even know have never contacted the outside world.
Yeah, as
when
they're
they
cutting
go
it
through
down.
there. Yeah, as they're slash and burn farming it. But you could do things with LiDAR now that didn't exist several, even 10, 15 years ago. The computing power and the LiDAR systems, they can fly over and map these areas and see what's there.
The FLIR too.
Yeah. So
That's FLIR LiDAR?
FLIR is forward-looking infrared.
Right, what's LiDAR?
LiDAR,
That's a different version of
light detection and ranging or something like that. It's kind of like radar, but it uses infrared beams.
Gotcha.
So FLIR actually makes an image that you can see, like white hot or black hot. It sees heat, and then LiDAR uses light. It's kind of like radar, but it uses light.
I should know about FLIR more than I do.
Yeah. So
don't ask me why. I should know more.
Yeah.
Yeah. I there's no way we found out everything.
No.
I mean, think about like some of the far-reaching parts of like China and Russia that probably have never been looked at for that kind of stuff. Now, don't get me wrong. Again, this is not a factual podcast. I could be so wrong. Like people could have looked into the areas and just been like, nah, nothing here. I just can't imagine. Like, I don't know. I got a feeling like there's more.
Yeah.
Not because I want aliens, because I do, but just like I feel like we've only scratched the surface, and it's almost like there isn't a ton of money. I mean, there's money in research. I get that. But it's a hassle. To one, you got to get permits in a foreign country.
Well, and the people that have funded all this archaeological research are all supporting the establishment narrative of what happened.
Right.
So they don't want to throw their money after, and it's all universities that have directors that are establishment type art. They want to stick to the current timeline. No one wants to acknowledge this other possibility.
Yeah. Well, there's more at stake too, because like think about it this way: when a professor teaches a class, he usually writes the book the class uses.
Yeah.
So now imagine something else gets found out. Well, now you're not teaching the class, and your book's not getting used. Well, they get paid for those books, by the way.
Yeah.
So every book sold, and that's, I mean, it's a whole nother scam, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it's why, like, every year a new edition comes out, and all they did was change a comma.
Oh, sure.
You know, and so now, like, the teacher, like, it makes it, your book is now, like, a third of the value. And then they sell it for half to the next kid, and it's like, oh, well, the teacher says you have to get the latest edition.
Right.
It's all a fucking scam.
Or they change the pages up so you can't find where you're at. It's like, it's stupid.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in college, like, well, my last year of college, I just stopped buying books. Because the first year I bought them, the second year I bought them, never opened them. Like, I sold them back, like, in the original wrapper. And then the last 2 years, I just, the school I went to required that the library had to carry copies of all the textbooks that were used in class.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, and it used to piss me off to no end when they say, buy this $80 book, which in 1999 was a lot of money. Go buy this $80 book, and we're going to read 2 chapters out of it. So I would go to the library and photocopy the 2 chapters, and that was my book, So,
Why are these like, dude? If you wrote it, can't you just give me some handouts?
yeah.
Like, you're literally, think about it. Every kid, let's say there's 20 kids in the class. Each one's paying $80.
Yeah. $1,600.
$1,600 every time. I mean,
Yeah.
and he's probably getting what, half of that?
Yeah.
$800 a semester.
Yeah. Plus they're paying.
That's just one class. Think about it. If he teaches 3 classes a week,
yeah, which is full time for a professor.
That's $2,400 a semester. $4,800.
Yeah.
Additional income. Shit, that's not horrible.
You could write some stupid book. Stupid books. F you books.
I mean, who knows if it's true? That asshole wrote it.
Yeah.
Who knows? What if someone else wrote something else? He ain't teaching the something else.
Right.
He's teaching his own shit.
Yeah.
I could literally, I could shit in a bag and say, I could write a book about the shit in the bag and teach a class about the shit in the bag.
Right.
And nobody else can write the book because it's my shit in that bag.
Yeah. No one's going to refute your shit in the bag because they want an A in your class.
No. I mean, someone else might shit in a bag.
Yeah.
And write a book about that shit in the bag.
Yeah.
And they're going to teach about that shit in a bag. I almost want to Google
shit in the bag
class for shit in the bag. And but you want to know what? I guarantee it probably comes up. And that's why I'm not going to Google it, because I don't want to be mad.
Yeah, and there's probably a fucking major somewhere in it.
Well, do you remember that movie PCU?
I do, but I never saw it.
All right. So in that, basically it's about a fraternity on campus. Jeremy Piven's in it. Early John Favreau's in it. Okay. And there's one member of the fraternity who sits in front of a TV the entire time watching TV. Because he's looking for one instance of when two actors were on the same scene, in the same scene together in any given TV show. Mm. It was almost kind of like majoring in like the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Right. So this dude literally spent 4 years watching TV so he could write a paper on whether his major was actually TV. Now, great, it's a movie, right?
Yeah.
But there are kids who major in T-fucking-V.
Oh, yeah.
And pay 80 to 120 grand to a university to give them a piece of paper that say they have a BS of TV.
Right.
Which couldn't be more accurate.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't get it. The whole academia thing, at some point, it's got to implode.
Oh, yeah. I don't see how it's sustainable. So one of the problems is that, so my wife and I were talking about this, and it came down to the Department of Education.
Oh, yeah. That's a good segue.
Yeah. So one of the things that Trump wants to do is get rid of the Department of Education. And she goes, well, what would happen? And blah, blah. I said, nothing would happen for us. Like, the kids go to school. They still go to school. Well, the Department of Education, I said, what do they do? Like, essentially, mainly what they do is, like, manage school loads. And I said, they've done nothing for education, really. Like, you have all these school loans. The reason school's so expensive is because they know all these kids are going to get approved financing regardless of credit, regardless of able to pay the loan back based upon their chosen major. So the schools just jack up the tuition because they know the kids will get loans to pay for it. And it's just this never-ending cycle of increasing costs. The loans go up, the kids pay for it, and it just keeps going and going and going. You come out of one of these schools $100 grand into debt with a degree in nothing. You're unemployable with it. So,
well, the other parts of the Department of Education, if we're leaning into this, they do some good things, but they do them. I should say they have good intentions that they do very fucking poorly. So, for example, the VA is a great idea, but it's run like shit.
Yeah.
Okay. So, with that in mind, the Department of Education for the country, so the federal Department of Education, was supposed to standardize learning across the country. So basically, if you went to third grade in Alabama, you would get essentially the same education that you would in third grade in New York.
Yeah.
But it really comes down to the state board of education that decides these things. Mm-hmm. So like in our state, state of Maryland Board of Education, they dictate guidelines to the county school districts, basically saying, hey, look, you have to have a minimum of this and a minimum of this, and we will give you state funding. Mm-hmm. And essentially, so the federal government does the same thing. They say, okay, you have to have a minimum of this, a minimum of this, and we'll give you federal funding. So these local school districts get state and federal funding if they meet the requirements.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we did a podcast, or we did an episode, and anyone can look back. The title of that episode is called Sold the Story Podcast.
Yeah.
In that instance, the federal Board of Education was pushing to the states to use the curriculum for reading called guided reading. Essentially, it was one that was basically created by a lady named, or the research was done by a lady by the name of Maury Clay, or Maury Clay, something like that. I would definitely say go listen to that episode, and Go listen to the podcast.
Listen to that whole podcast. It's good.
The podcast is about 6 episodes. It'll make you fucking insane.
Yeah.
With anger. Because the Federal Department of Education, they instituted, basically they were giving guidance to the state level saying, yes, this is a good method to teach reading. And all the states went from phonics to this guided reading program.
Yeah.
And look, my wife might kill me because she knows I might not be using the correct terminology. I'm going to say guided reading. It might be something else, but it's essentially teaching kids to basically guess at words based on context,
right?
And pictures.
Yeah, it's like you know what a bottle looks like because a bottle is a bottle. So like you would know what the word tree looks like, not because you know the word T makes a T sound and you combine that with R and it makes a tr sound and the two E's go E. You know it. That word says tree because you just recognize the image of the word tree.
Right. So the kids could be sitting on a log, but you say tree and you still get credit.
Yeah.
Right. But you didn't read the word. You're just looking for context clues.
Yeah.
And so the reading level of American children went down from when that was implemented. Well, and then in the early 2000s, when George W. Bush became president, his head of the Department of Education basically found out, or someone told him that the research was faulty and that phonics should be the first line reading program. And they gave this information to the states, and because there's a big lobby firm for publishing, and Heinemann Publishing was the publishing company for the guided reading books and tests and pamphlets and all the stuff that the teachers needed and everything like that, they lobbied the Department of Education to not put out that information. Well, so essentially this huge federal Department of Education was bought and paid for by the industry.
Just like the FDA, just like...
Correct. So when this president, and there have been other presidents in the past, it's not that easy to dismantle a government agency.
Yeah.
It takes an act of Congress. Now, they have the House, they have the Senate, maybe they can push something through, but I think you need 60%.
Yeah, they don't have that.
And they don't have that. So is the Department of Education going to go away? Probably not.
Yeah, I don't think any of the departments of anything are going to go away.
No, but here's what they can do, though. They can defund it, essentially. And what people don't realize is when the Department of Education was created under Jimmy Carter, it was very similar to what we saw with the Department of Homeland Security. It was a lot of groups from other agencies were essentially brought together to form the Department of Education. So like with the Department of Homeland Security, they basically took FEMA, they took the Coast Guard, they took Secret Service, they took parts of the DOJ.
Yep, they took Customs, they took Border Protection.
Yeah, and they just stuffed it under one label.
Yeah.
And a lot of these organizations, even today in the Department of Homeland Security, don't work together.
Yeah.
Like FEMA and Customs don't work together. FEMA and the Coast Guard don't work together.
Yeah.
TSA is in that loop, and they don't. I mean, they're not working with the Secret Service. Like, it's literally a loose bunch of organizations that they lump together.
Had a cabinet level secretary.
Right. And so what they're going to end up doing, if they do remove funding for the Department of Education, they're essentially going to take those functions and put them back where they think they belong. So like the school meal programs will probably go back under USDA.
Yeah.
Right. And they'll fund the parts that did good, but they're going to take the bureaucracy out of it. And I think that's what people don't really understand. They see, we're not going to have a Department of Education tomorrow. No, it's not going to happen. It's too difficult to do that because this big bureaucracy exists. Now you can slim it down. And I mean, I've got a feeling what's going to happen is that a lot of the top level senior people. So a lot of the political appointed people don't need to be appointed. Yeah. So like for each political appointee, there's like 6 people that go with them.
Yeah.
Because they not only get a job out of the Purple Book. So the Purple Book, for people that don't know, the Purple Book is what the administration uses to fill these admin level spots. They're called political appointees. Well, not only is there a political appointee, but there's a political appointee chief of staff. There's a political appointee secretary. They get like a little staff.
Like a deputy assistant director.
Sure.
All this other crap.
And then they hire their buddies as GS-15s or SESs. So, and they call that burrowing in.
Yeah.
And then as time gets closer, some of these actual SESs or political appointees, they create a GS-15 for themselves and they become a civil servant. Because if you're a political appointee, after the election, every single political appointee hands in their resignation. Now, it is up to the next president to accept it or not.
Yeah.
Or if the person wants to leave, they can leave. But every single political appointee hands in a resignation. They all have to.
Yeah.
They all do it. And so essentially what's going to happen is that the Department of Education, they're all going to hand in their resignation. They're all going to be accepted. They might not be backfilled. And then all these people that kind of burrowed in are probably going to get tossed because they don't have union protection.
Yeah.
So once you're a GS 14 or 15 or SES, you have no union protection. If you are not a supervisor, you have union protection. Anyone without a supervisor is probably going to be all right. Because in order to get rid of someone like that, dude, you need like 4 years of documented proof. So like if you got someone that has 10 years of good ratings as far as their effort and stuff, you're not getting rid of them.
Yeah.
You're going to have to literally put someone in their boss's position that will rank them low in their performance evals. And that's how but you need like 2 years of bad evals to even get considered to be cut.
Yeah.
Now they can move people around. They can make some people's lives miserable.
Oh, sure.
But I really don't think that's what's going to happen. I think they're going to cut a lot of the top end. A lot of these 15s that used to be SESs or political appointees that burrowed in, they're going to probably be gone, right? And the funny part is that, I saw a tweet from Vivek talking about cutting the federal budget. And I'm just like, you could the federal budget now is like $7 billion. Or 7 trillion, sorry.
Yeah.
Or was it 4 trillion? I don't know. It used to be 1 trillion a year.
Yeah.
And then in 2020, 2021, it went to 4 trillion. Like it tripled.
Yeah.
Quadrupled? Whatever. Math ain't my strong suit. So to go back to pre-COVID levels, now granted GDP's gone up. So it's supposed to go up as a portion of GDP. So even if you went from 4 trillion down to 2.5, saving 1.5 trillion,
That's still a huge.
that's a huge nut.
Yeah.
And then like all this, and that's how you don't have to raise taxes either. You can keep taxes back down to where you had them and lower taxes on corporations. And corporations may not try and get around the taxes anymore because it might not be economically prudent to do so. It might be less expensive to just pay the taxes
Than to
pay the accountants to get you around the taxes.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that's going to be completely what happens, but the other portion of it was lowering the taxes on repatriated funds. So these are funds that they have to hold overseas because if they bring it back, they got to pay like a 30% tax rate on it. Well, they already pay taxes on it overseas.
Yeah.
So now they don't want to pay taxes on it again to bring it over here. So what they did was I think they lowered it down to like 5% or 5 or 10% for repatriated funds. So that means the money comes back to America and can be spent in America. And they only got to pay a small portion to bring it back.
Yeah.
So that was another way to raise a shit ton of money. Because, I mean, you're talking that alone would bring in, I want to say it's close to $1 trillion because Apple's got a shit ton of money sitting over in like Ireland and China that they can't bring back here.
Yeah.
Tesla's in the same boat. So when everyone says, oh, what's going to happen? The Department of Education is going to go away. What are we going to do? You want to know what? You're probably not even going to notice.
Yeah. And on the ground level, like where our kids are, and it's like they're not going to notice.
They could literally keep funding states. Like they could take the money that they gave to states, keep giving it to states, and just cut out the Department of Education.
Yeah.
And all the high end, SESs, GS15. I mean, I think I want to say that the payroll for the Department of Education alone was like a couple, like 500 billion. It was a large number.
Yeah.
You cut that alone. You literally, what if you could cut out like a third of $1 trillion just by not having the employees?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're sending to the money to the states anyway, I mean, do you need 20 people?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Look, I could be wrong. I could be dead wrong on this.
Well,
you could save money a lot of places. Attrition alone.
Yeah.
There are so many people in the federal workforce that are ready to retire. If you gave them like 3 years and said, look, we'll give you 3 years on your service, but you got to bounce.
Yeah.
Not anyone would take that?
Yeah.
You're going to give me, it's only because it's 1% per year. You're going to give me 3% more if I bounce now?
Yeah.
Or I can get this, or I can get the same thing and work for 3 years.
Yeah.
No, I'll take it and bounce.
Yeah.
Okay, now you're paying the pension, which is less than the salary. Mm-hmm. You're saving money that way.
Yeah.
You just don't backfill the position.
Right.
It's like, okay, if you can, there's just a lot of savings there that you can do, and I think they did it under Clinton. To be honest with you, mm-hmm. I think they did a lot by attrition that back then.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you just don't fill the vacant position.
It's not. So. It's the world isn't going to end.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and since the Department of Education has been in existence, like all the metrics, the test scores, none of them have gone up.
No,
they've all gone down. And look, there are probably a multitude of different reasons for that. I'm not going to blame that squarely on the Department of. It's a logical fallacy to say, "Oh, the Department of Education caused it," but they didn't help it.
I always go to this example as to show why money doesn't solve education problems. Baltimore City mm-hmm. is consistently in the top 5 for dollar amount per pupil.
Yeah.
I believe they have a reading proficiency level at like 3%.
Yeah.
Basically meaning like under 5% of kids can actually read at grade level by the time they graduate.
Yeah.
Meaning they shouldn't graduate.
Right.
Or they're graduating with like a D grade level.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is because a lot of the money gets squandered and it goes to no-show contracts. Mm-hmm. Like the money paid per pupil isn't going to the pupil. It's not going to the teachers.
No,
it's not. It's like
it's not going to the It's not going into the building,
no.
Like into the school building. It's
Correct.
Going into all this other stuff. These admin positions, these stupid offices, all this crap that they make up and hook their boys up with easy jobs or no-show jobs, all this nonsense they have. Like, that's really, oh, hey, my brother has an HVAC contracting company that he started yesterday. He's going to put air conditioners in all the schools. No, he's not. He's going to steal all of that money, and you're going to get kickbacks for it.
Yep.
So
that's actually what happened.
Yeah.
Like when Larry Hogan was the governor of Maryland, he gave the city of Baltimore school district money to specifically put air conditioners in schools. Mm-hmm. None of those schools have air conditioners. Mm-hmm. Again, as long as there's adults taking money, no one is ever going to tell me that money solves the education problem.
Right.
Because adults are corrupt.
Yeah.
And until it's proven otherwise, that's the case.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say the only other school districts that probably compare as far as the amount of money given per pupil, I would say is New York City. Mm-hmm. And they do a fairly decent job. Yeah. But New York has a different kind of education system. They have different levels of education. I mean, I'm someone who went up through the New York education system. I didn't go up through the New York City education system. I grew up and I went through the high school system in upstate New York.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different. But money doesn't solve all the problems. And until, and I hate to say this, until the corruption is rooted out of some of these places, because right now it's like, well, we're not getting solutions, so let's throw more money at it. 2 years later, we don't have the solutions, let's throw more money at it.
Right, and it's like the puppy dog theory. Everyone likes puppy dogs, so the little kids, you want to help the little kids, right? Well, we need more money to help the little kids. No one wants to be the asshole to say no. No, this is a little puppy dog. You like puppy dogs, right?
Well, if you say no,
you're an asshole.
The other side demonizes.
Yeah. So they have to say yes. So it's like this constant, and it just gets more and more money thrown at it. And someone needs to come in and be like, no, you're done. Like, you show me what you've done with this money.
Larry Hogan said no kids.
Yeah, right.
He's an asshole.
Yeah.
Vote for this person.
Right.
Like, what?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's
wrong for puppy dogs. Wrong for Maryland. Like that stupid.
Right. Well, the other part of it is, let's say you give the money, and the metrics go down. Larry Hogan, under his tutelage, the scores for reading went down. Larry Hogan hates kids.
Right.
Like, you can't win.
Yeah.
If you're not if you're the person giving the money and you're not the person on the receiving end managing it, you can't win.
Yeah.
Because if there's money to be had, adults are going to swindle your money. It just is what it is. And I'm not saying you can go to anywhere in the United States, anywhere in some government, and even probably the most well-meaning person gave a contract to a buddy unwittingly.
Oh, sure.
Like even in the Podunk, USA,
Yep.
there was a contract for an HVAC in the town hall, and they only got two bids in the contract, and the mayor was the deciding person, and he gave it to Cletus, who was his best friend since elementary school.
Yeah.
Well, Cletus also happened to have the lowest bid, but
and it was a 50% chance Cletus was going to get it anyway.
Right. But he probably gave it to Cletus, even though maybe the other guy could have done a better job.
Yeah.
It just happens. Now, I'm not saying it's good, and I'm not saying we shouldn't fight against it, but maybe that's what, I mean, I know people are panicking, but maybe that's what this administration will actually do. And if they don't, guess what? In 4 years, they're gone anyway.
Yeah.
Unless another one of the people in the cabinet or whatever get elected.
Right.
Because he's not going to... Everyone's like, oh, he's going to try and stay in power forever. No, he's fucking not.
No.
I'm sorry. You're not going to be in your 80s wanting to deal with this shit.
I don't want to deal with it now.
Not if I lived at fucking Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
In Florida. You think I'm choosing to go in the White House and deal with assholes all day long?
Right.
Fuck no. No amount of power... People with power, don't get me wrong, some try and stay in power forever. I mean, shit, the people have been in the Senate for fucking ages, right? But other people, I think he likes, when he leaves, he's still going to be the CEO of his companies.
Yeah.
It's not like he's leaving any power behind.
Right.
He's going to go get to travel on a nicer plane than Air Force One. He's going to go back to a nicer life.
Yeah.
I do think he does it because...
People won't be trying to kill him.
Well, yeah, right. I mean, although you never know.
Yeah.
She'll probably try and throw him in jail again. Like that. It's wild, man. It's unreal. And then the funny part is like, and this is kind of off topic because we haven't gone off topic yet, but...
The show started about aliens and ancient civilization.
Yes, it did. It was... So, like... There are people on the left still touting, like, so John Bolton said he didn't like the new Secretary of Defense. I think his name is Pete Hegseth or something like that. And the left is like, see, John Bolton doesn't like him, so he must be bad. Like, whoa, hold up.
When did John Bolton become your bellwether?
Right, John Bolton, Liz Cheney, Dick Cheney, these are your people now? What the fuck happened? These were the devil.
Yeah.
Like, warhawks among, like, the top warhawks.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what are we doing here? Like, now all of a sudden, this is what you're retweeting as evidence that the pics are bad?
Right.
Actually, that just proves to me that they're probably pretty fucking good. And I don't even know these guys.
Yeah.
I mean, and then, of course, like, they're trying to show the picture of the guy. He's got the Jerusalem cross on his chest. And literally someone posts a picture of him like, you can't tell me that's not a swastika. Like,
it's not a swastika.
It's not a swastika. It's the Jerusalem cross. And so, like, see, I told you he's a Christian nationalist. Like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, he's literally an ex-ranger.
Yeah.
You know how many ex-rangers don't have tattoos?
Right. Yeah.
Zero.
Yeah.
None whatsoever. Like, because the funny part is, like, they're like, oh, Pete Hegseth, a Fox News and Friends anchor. And that's all they say?
Yeah.
They don't mention he's got a degree from Harvard and Princeton.
Yeah.
They don't mention the fact he was a fucking Army Ranger and he's done 3 tours of duty.
Yeah.
Or no, he's done more tours of duty, but he was in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Guantanamo Bay. Mm-hmm. Right? Like he had no military fucking credentials at all.
Right.
It's like, it baffles my fucking mind, man.
Yeah.
And then people believe it.
Oh, they suck it right up.
Like, oh, look at this guy. He fucks his friend.
Yeah.
Like, okay. You didn't want to mention the other stuff?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I'm like serious when I say some people are. You could be living next door to someone who's living in a completely different reality.
Mm-hmm.
And like, they're going like now people are like leaving Twitter and going to Blue Sky. Why? So you can get further insulated and given the misinformation that you're fleeing from?
Yeah.
Because
I don't.
you didn't get the truth.
Yeah, because they lied about everything, and then I think people just like being lied to. What's that song? Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies. Like, there you go. Yeah, like they like it. They like to be to think outside their worldview is so hard for them to do.
But they think it was true.
Yeah.
Still. Like, I don't know how you snap some people out of this. Like, I think there are some people that are just so far gone that they're going to be gone for good.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like some of these people are, like, they're not going to Thanksgiving or Christmas because they voted for Trump.
That's nuts.
Which is funny because you look at the other side. I don't see one person that voted for Trump that said they're not allowing their family to come. Or that they're not going because unless they were disinvited, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't see it coming from both angles. Like almost my entire family probably voted opposite of me. I don't give two shits.
Oh yeah.
They're still welcome in this house.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna. I probably won't talk politics with them because I don't give a shit.
Yeah. And the thing is, I don't want to. If you could have a discussion about it. I just talk about it and say, oh, that's your point, and disagree over something, and then just have that be the end of it. Like you and I, Ovechkin's going to break the record, and you say he's not, even though deep down in your soul you know that he is.
He's a Russian asset.
You just can't. Right, there's some fake news.
Fake news. It's real to me, man.
But the thing is, like, but we're not going to like. You know what? F you, Alex, I'm out of here because you disagree with me. And really, the things that these people are disagreeing on are as inconsequential as that in the greater schemes of their lives. But what they've done is they've attached some of these things to their identity, to their very being. Like the whole, I had on my news, comments from friends like, I had to tell my daughter that she's going to be okay. Like, no, you didn't. And if you did, that's your fault.
Right.
No one's coming to, kill your daughter. No one's coming to put you in a camp. Like, it's not happening. Like, but you allowed her to get to that point where she needed that, or you just needed to say you did that when really the little girl's just playing with her toys and not giving two shits about who the president is.
I mean, the funny part, so we talked to our daughters about our votes.
Mm-hmm.
Not like deep into it, but like my wife said who she voted for.
Yeah.
I said who I voted for. They asked us why. My wife gave her reasons. I gave my reasons, and that was the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
They heard both parents.
Yeah.
And I was like, my wife didn't advocate for her candidate. I didn't advocate for mine. And then we talked about the down ballot stuff, like the state stuff. We both said we voted for the same person for Senate, which was fun. Because I did not expect that.
Yeah.
The person lost anyway.
Right.
But, and I think we voted for a different Board of Education person.
Yeah.
And
I voted for that one, whoever my wife told me to, because she's in the business. But
I voted for the other one just because I really don't like the current person.
Yeah.
Not personally. Personally, I think she's probably fine. But I remember, like, on a Board of Education call, like, during COVID, there were, like, the calls. Like,
she wore, like, the 18 masks and the...
I don't even care about that. It was the fact she didn't know how the kids were graded in elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she didn't know the grading system.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like, okay, if you're going to be on the Board of Education, you should at least know how the schools operate.
There's a dude on the Board of Ed that he's, like, 80 years old and doesn't have kids in the system. And then there's another woman on the Board of Ed whose kids go to private school. There's another one who they're homeschooled.
Yeah.
Why are you here? You don't have a dog in the fight.
Yeah, I don't get that.
I guess your tax dollars go to pay for it, but
why would you even bother? Your kids are never going to be in those schools.
That would be like me running for like to run the Girl Scouts. Like I have 3 boys. I don't care about the Girl Scouts.
Well, then
I'll buy their cookies.
You had the one guy running who apparently was like charged or like for like. I guess he worked in schools and he got like charged for like doing something with kids. I don't know.
Oh, Lord.
And he was going to be on, like, he was eligible to run for the board. I was like, how is he eligible? And then my other thought is, How did he win the primary? Like that's something you should probably be upfront about. Like, hey, this is going to come out, and I shouldn't be around kids.
Right.
So maybe I shouldn't be on the board of education.
I'm not allowed within 50 yards of a school, huh?
Yeah. I mean, it's like, man, you might want to sit this out. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? This might not be for you. We'll put you over there with the trucks and the cars, not with the kids.
Run for dog catcher or something, dude.
For real. Like, you wanted to be in politics that bad that this is what you went for, and you just happen to be the most unqualified motherfucker?
Right. Yeah, run for dog catcher. Well, there's a dog thing, too. Like, God, what have you been doing?
Damn.
I've met some fucked up people, but you, sir.
You need to stay home. You need to just hang out with yourself. Which I'm sure you've done a lot of.
Yeah.
I don't want to see what your computer says about you. Don't need to see that search history. But, yeah, I don't know, man. At this point, I'm really hoping the aliens come and just do something. Like, can't we just cleanse some stuff? Like, can we do a selective cleanse? Like, I'm not talking like the end game,
right?
Where you close the fist and 50% of the population goes away. I'm not saying that because that seems a little like
extreme.
Yeah, 50% if you're going to make it or not.
Yeah,
like let's pick off some people,
right?
You know, like let's be selective. Let's be selective with it. And I don't know who. I mean, I don't think I've met like a super rich dude who wasn't an asshole. You know, so we could start there, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not for a whole bunch of redistribution of wealth or anything, but we can figure out what to do. We can sprinkle that around. You know what I'm saying? We'll figure out what to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, don't worry, I'm a fan of what Elon Musk does in all of his businesses and stuff. Do I really want him touching government? Probably not.
Well, he's now in charge of the Department of Government Efficiency or something like that.
And if you spell it out, it says Doge, which
is this going through the roof. By the way, Doge to the moon, my friend. I have some.
Well, all the cryptos are going up.
Yeah.
My Bitcoin, and IRS, if you're listening, it went way down, so fuck yourself. It's going way the fuck up.
So I'm hoping that Dogecoin gets to Bitcoin levels.
If it does, you're talking
$36 million.
I got in too late. In fact, I haven't even bought any.
Yeah.
I have no Doge.
There's a new one out.
Uh-oh.
It's called Pepe. It's another meme coin from the Pepe frog.
No, I've got like 15 different coins, but I mean mostly I've got the Bitcoin and the Ethereum.
Okay.
And those are my main two.
Yeah, no, I don't have any legitimate ones.
Oh, okay.
I only have Doge.
You had the Shiba Inu?
I don't have Shiba Inu, but I have
I got that because Ty told me to get Shiba Inu.
Which I bought. I had 96 cents in my Robinhood account.
Yep.
So I bought 40,000 Pepe coins.
Pepe to the moon.
Yeah. So I've lost a penny on it. So, but you know what? I treat them like lottery tickets. Yeah. My Doge, though, Doge is doing okay. So I made $159 on Doge.
So I've got an interesting conundrum with my Bitcoin. I've got quite a bit of... So I didn't put my own money into Bitcoin. All right. Initially, I bought like $100 worth.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had some people pay me in it here and there. And I just kind of let it be. I let it sit for a while. Now it's a sizable... I'm not talking like I'm rich.
Right.
I'm not talking like I can't retire.
You're not buying a Ferrari. It's maybe put new tires on the Yukon type of money.
I could probably buy the Yukon again.
Okay.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
At what point do I take some money off the table? And then the other part of it is, how the fuck I'm going to get taxed on this shit? Am I going to have to give like 20% to the government right off the bat?
I would leave it in there just to deny the government.
So that's what I was thinking. Like, they can't tax it until I withdraw it.
Right.
Because it's considered an investment.
It's unrealized
right.
capital gain.
But at some point, I guess I just leave it in there for now.
Yeah.
And hope it just keeps going up and up and up. If it goes to 100,000 or more than, well, I guess it's close. It was like 90 something.
Yeah.
I guess it's supposed to go, at some point, there's not any more. And that's when the value's supposed to go way up.
Yeah.
So I'll probably hang on to it. But how hard it is to see, like, a few numbers thrown together and not withdraw any of it.
Yeah.
It's like,
Because tomorrow it could be worth nothing.
Could. It could. I mean, I've held on to it this long. It's been like 6, 7 years, 8 years. I've held on to it. So I'm probably going to hold on to it, but it's getting harder to hold on to it. I thought about maybe just releasing a little bit. Bring a little bit back in.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm not... if I leave it in there and one day it goes through the roof, maybe, Then
you'll be kicking yourself. That could have been me.
Right.
That's why I've held on to Doge for so long.
Yeah, I think I'm probably just going to leave it there.
Yeah.
And then when it's like, when it goes through the roof, I'll be like, then I'll retire with it.
Yeah.
Roll around in it.
You have the big money pool like Scrooge McDuck.
I will. Yeah.
You dive in there and then spit coins out of your mouth like it's water.
Yeah, I never understood why he did it. Like,
if he dove into a pile of money, he'd just go...
He'd just splat. If he dove as high from that high dive board that he had
into a pile of coins,
he'd fucking die, break his neck.
Yeah,
so unrealistic. Stupid cartoon. Well, hopefully you guys found this interesting, funny, informative. As Pat McAfee says, it's comedic informative.
Yeah.
Let us know what your thoughts are on the aliens. Do you think there was a greater civilization far before anything written down that we know of? Like, subscribe, comment, share, all that fun stuff. Leave us a rating. Asking everybody, this is going to be the new handshake agreement that you leave us a rating on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. That'll help us grow those ratings. If you could say a few kind words, that'd be great with the rating, or just do the rating. A couple stars here or there. Can be like Benny. Leave us 1 star. Tell us we suck.
Still helps us.
It did. Thank you, Benny. Want to thank Adam Chubbuck with Douglas Realty in Pasadena. TACMD.com. That's TACMD.com. This is the time to go talk to him if you're going to be in the real estate market in the next 5-6 months or even sooner. Go give him a phone call and get on his schedule so he can help you out. Adam's still selling houses right now, and it's an interesting time to buy or sell. So go talk with him, get all the good information that you can from him. We'll see you next week. Thanks for listening.